Good morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group on this Wednesday. How you doing? 800-951-0592. Is everybody okay? I know there was a very mean-spirited debate last night. It was so horrible. The website at allamericangold.com, and what a 24 hours, I guess it's been. You know, yesterday the first debate between Trump and Biden. I don't know what people were expecting. You know, I told you I was watching it for the crash, and you know, it went about how I expected. Trump is going to be Trump. That's not going to change. Apparently, that was shocking to some people. Biden, you know, he did okay. I don't think he had any major mental lapse. But the commentary afterwards, and it didn't matter. My wife goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I just want to listen to," and I did the Fox. I did the locals, right? You know, the ABC, NBC, CBS. I even did CNN. I didn't want to, but I did it anyway. You know, CNN was crying the most, but all of them, Fox included. The horror, how horrible it was, and the lack of civility, and blah 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 blah. And this morning, I'm sitting there and I'm getting ready to do the show. And Case Western is where the debate took place. By the way, Case Western, you know, and it's like Case Western Reserve University. They're a great school. They really are. They're a Division III program. So a lot of people may have never heard of it, but if you live in the Cleveland area, everyone knows Case Western and high-quality education. If your son or daughter would attend that school. But they came out this morning, and you can't make this stuff up now. I mean, this is what we've come down to, that Case Western Reserve, the site of last night's presidential debate, has set up a dedicated support spaces for students who have been triggered by the tense exchange in the debate last night. Yes. It's so horrible. Listen, you can come to this space in case you got triggered, right? And you can, I don't know, let out your feelings. I can't, again, I don't know what it means. These are confidential safe spaces, by the way. So, where they can talk or cry. You know, you can let it all out, I guess. I'm not sure what you do in these spaces. But they said the university is saying that students can discuss the impact of the recent national events, including the presidential debate and the upcoming elections. Apparently, you're not allowed to talk about sports in there, but anything with the, I'm assuming, Black Lives Matter, Antifa support in support of, I'm sure of that, and how horrible the president is. There are 8 presidential debate support spaces. Yes, 8 of them available on the campus. The university, which asked that everyone use respectful dialogue, so be respectful. The space will remain active Monday through next Friday. So, you know, in case you didn't realize it triggered you, you know, and maybe it's going to take a little bit. You know, you got till next Friday to do this. And they have virtual counseling sessions as well, right? So if you're all worried about stuff, right, you could, I guess you could Zoom in and talk to the counselors as to how you felt about it. The university announced that the support space is not a substitute for psychotherapy. Yeah. I don't mean to. Come on, really? You need therapy now? man, what we got to toughen up. I mean, at my house, you know, and a lot of you Italians out there, okay, you probably feel the same way. This was that debate wasn't barely a conversation. You know, and I told you the story of how the holidays went in my house. You know, and I grew up a lot different, and I wish, you know, I feel like my kids have missed out because we were very close. My family was very close. And, you know, when we had birthdays or holidays, you were with family. You weren't having a birthday inviting your buddies over. No, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, that was who was coming over. But at the end of every get-together, after we ate, there would be coffee and dessert before the card game broke out. And that's when the debate would begin. Right? And I'm telling, by the time it was, it was like, you know, kind of how I do my show. You know, when I get fired up, this is where I learned it from. So what happened last night, that's nothing. And now they're talking about, oh, people may need psychotherapy. And let's create some safe spaces. And it also does not constitute a mental health treatment. So they're probably coming to every college campus near you. Yes. A safe space where you can talk about your feelings about the presidential debates. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Those of you that need a safe space, do not call 800-951-0592. For those of you that can take it, you know what to do and how to do it. You know, maybe what we could do, you know, I was thinking about this, is we can just start handing out trophies and see if that works, right? Because, you know, they seem to think that's a great idea, you know, with all the little kids. And we knew, everybody in the right mind knew that the everybody gets a trophy thing is a bad idea. We didn't know how it was going to be, but you just knew, right? And now we're starting to see it. Right? This is what happens. They don't know how to deal with failure because, you know, we don't want to tell them, oh, well, you failed. You got to try harder. Now everybody just wants what? Just give me a handout. Right? And listen, we're getting ready to do just that. I mean, this is going to be the ushering in of the new digital dollar. Is going to come with everybody's going to get a big digital deposit. I'm telling you, mark my words. Because that way, everyone can clap and, yes, that's what we need. Speaking of which, the Dow, a big up day today. Yesterday was a down day, big up day. Gold is just hanging out right at $1,900, just watching, as there's rumors that there may or may not be a stimulus package coming. Again, I don't think so before the election. I mean, the election's like 30 days away, so I'm not sure that it's going to get done. But either way, they just wanted to make sure that we got out of September. So that way it can go on next year's deficit, right? Because they didn't want it on this year's deficit's already big enough. Remember, the end of the fiscal year coming here for the federal government. Starting October the 1st, it'll be 2021 fiscally for the government. It's Jobs Week. Today was ADP. The number was 700 and change, 700,000 and change as on the job count, which sounds great, but well short of where it should be. The problem was in the last 24 hours, I've seen the biggest amount of layoff notices yet. Now, since, you know, April, everybody was laying everybody off. But I'm saying since the quote-unquote recovery, the biggest amount of layoffs, we've hit almost 100,000 layoff notices in the last 24 hours. Disney led the way yesterday. They met with the governor of California who said, hey, go get bent. We're not opening Disneyland. Disney said, okay, we're laying off 28,000 employees. I believe they have 32,000 employees at Disneyland. 28,000 of those were shown the door today. These were workers that were furloughed. This is one of those left pocket, right pocket type deals. These employees didn't count on the unemployment report. Now they're gonna. Kind of weird. I know how it's weird to understand it all. But they announced 28,000 layoffs. Here's the funny part: 67%, and I guess not funny, but this is the new reality. We're part-time workers. Because let's face it, even companies like Disney and all they don't want to pay health care. Right? Nobody wants to pay that stuff if they can avoid it. Not to be outdone, Dow, not Dow Jones, Dow, the materials company, says, hey, we're laying off 6% of our workforce. That's going to be thousands of jobs. Royal Dutch Shell, 9,000 layoffs. The company already said that 1,500 workers had taken voluntary. I'm trying to think of the word, and I'm drawing a blank here. They got severance. They voluntary leave, right? They paid them to retire, if you will. Marathon Petroleum. So the oil patch, and I touched on it the other day, and I told you, oil is back down into the 30s again. And remember, that's not even the cash price. And here's the problem, and I've tried to articulate it the best that I could. A lot of growth in the oil industry jobs was producing oil that we needed to mix so it could be refined. So in oil, and I'm not I don't know what, geologist, a scientist, I don't know all the ins and outs, but I got a 30,000-foot overview when it comes to oil. The refiners are built to refine a certain type of oil. And if you're not within that parameter, it's useless. So what you have to do is you have to mix the oils, right? You got a lighter oil and a heavier oil. You got to mix the two together to get the right combination to where the refiners can actually turn it into something else, right? Whether it be gasoline or diesel fuel or jet fuel or maybe into a plastic, right? Some type of petroleum-based product. So when you see a price of, let's just say $38 for a barrel of crude, that's if you got the exact right crude. The big growth for us, though, has been in crude. Well, maybe it's a little too light, or maybe it's a little too heavy, or maybe it's a lot too light or a lot too heavy. They're not getting $38. They're getting substantially less. And now, all of a sudden, we're kind of seeing, okay, we're not going to get the bounce back that we're seeing means we got to lay people off. Right? The price of crude, it's not high enough. We just still have too much. So Royal Dutch Shell came out with layoffs. Marathon Oil came out with layoffs. The airline industry looks like tomorrow or Friday are going to be laying off over 30,000. United and American make up the lion's share of this. So they already know. So they put the airlines put everybody on notice that come October 1, so I guess maybe tomorrow, the last day of the month, or on Friday, here's the layoffs. It's going to be over 30,000. Delta, the other of the big three, they got enough people to take voluntary separation. So they're not going to add to it, but American, United, the lion's share of it. Southwest, too. Southwest had good luck with, hey, if we give you some money, will you just go away? And a lot of people are like, yeah, I'll just go away. And again, I think that's probably a good idea. If you could have gotten paid to go away, because I don't think these airline jobs are coming back anytime soon. Because a big piece of airline, right, business travel. There is no business travel. Big piece of airline, Disneyland, right? Hey, Disney, it ain't opening, right? Disney World, no one's going. concerts, Vegas, conventions, and sporting events. Right? A lot of the sporting events now, some places you got fan, but it's, maybe it's only 25%. What we haven't heard yet is the hotel side. So get ready. The first couple of weeks here, the last week of September, the first couple of weeks of October, we're going to have big layoff announcements because you got the airlines, you got the hotels. Of course, we weren't planning on Disney. That was new. And then now all of a sudden now we got the oil guys, Dow Chemical, another one that was, I don't know that it was unforeseen, but the amount, the major cuts. When you're talking, you got companies cutting 6%, 10%, 15%, 20% of their workforce. Really, really significant. So we had ADP today. Like I said, it was 700 and change jobs created for the month of September. Tomorrow we're going to get jobless claims again, right? And the new methodology has been pretty simple. I'm going to throw out a number. Ready? 865. 865,000 people will sign up for jobless claims for the very first time, because that's just really what they've been for the last 4 weeks in a row, almost really between 860 and 870 every single week. I anticipate more of that. Then we'll get the government number on Friday, and in at least initial reports, this number is going to be under 1 million. Because remember last month we got a big boost, I guess, from census and the government. This month, those government jobs aren't expected to be there. So that'll really, I don't think, drive anything. I think everybody kind of expects that to be a little bit of a slowdown. The question is, what's going to happen now? We had final GDP, the third revision to second quarter GDP. Now, they say it's the final reading, but then what happens is the central bank 6 months from now, a year from now, is going to revise this number. And my guess is the revision is going to be significantly higher, but that's irrelevant, right? Because you got to deal with what's in front of us. Final second quarter GDP negative 31.4%. We are going to get third quarter GDP at the end of October. I'm going to guess we're going to be somewhere between 25 and 30 to the upside. So we had a negative 31.4. Let's just say, let's keep it simple. We had a negative 31.4. Let's have a positive 31.4. Okay? So second quarter was negative 31.4. Third quarter is positive 31.4. A lot of people say, we're at zero. No. Unfortunately, you're not very good at math when you do that way. Actually, what that means is GDP is down almost 10%. So if you think about, we've got a GDP of $20 trillion. That would mean GDP is falling to like 18 trillion. So that'd be a $2 trillion haircut to the GDP if we get there, right? Then we got to get to 31.4. We got to get to that number. I don't know that we will. It'll be close. Everybody's lowering what they're hoping for, an increase in fourth quarter GDP. And I will tell you this, that's only if there's stimulus. If we don't get some form of a stimulus, I don't anticipate any fourth quarter growth. But I do think we'll get one. So how about that? So there you go. So we'll get one. The later it goes, the less the impact will be. But I just want to point that out to everybody, because I know this. The mainstream media will want you to believe that, hey, it's back to where it was. It doesn't work that way. When you do percentages, if you're down 30-some-odd percent, you come back 30-some-odd percent, you're actually still down 10% from where you were. So just a little mathematics. I actually learned that in public school. How about that? And I don't need a safe space, so I'm going to be okay with it. 800-951-0592. New York City, now they're saying that there's been an increase in bankruptcies, just a little one. a 40% increase, and they're saying that was the first wave, and they're bracing for wave number 2, and we're going to get everyone's going to get wave number 2. Every city. Now, the ones that are still closed, New York, New Jersey, California, right, Washington, right, they're going to suffer the most. They're the ones, and, we heard it in the debates, the president, hey, Biden wants to go and shut everything back down, and I want to reopen it, and I guess you can figure out which one's better or which one is worse. But something else to think about, too. This happened as well. Do you know yesterday 911 went down? Yeah. It was actually the day before. So look at Arlene. She's on top and she's letting me know. Apple went down today. Kind of weird, isn't it? Microsoft went down the day before. So it was 911, Microsoft, Apple. What's going on? 800-951-0592. Who's going to be the next president? Doesn't matter. People need their little therapy session because, the debate, it was so mean, so terrible. But this is where we're at. Do I like it? No. Do I wish it would be different? Absolutely. But, you can see both sides here. I'll just say this about Trump. When your campaign got illegally spied upon, right? When they created the fake Russian thing, right? You're probably a little sensitive, right? The whole thing on the taxes, just ridiculous. By the way, just so everybody knows, in case you already, most of our listeners, I know you guys already know this. He didn't pay $750 in taxes in 2016 and 2017. That's not what happened. And it's one of those things where you had to keep reading a little bit. And I know that's hard. The liberals apparently don't like to read. Now that's wrong. Shouldn't have said that. I apologize. Don't get a therapy session. It'll be okay. But if you had kept reading, what happened was the president filed extensions because there's a big tax audit that's going on, in case everyone doesn't know. And what the president is saying, hey, when the audit's over, I'll release all my taxes. That's what he's saying. The audit has been taken years, mostly because, well, let's face it, the liberals are on it like, no, I won't say it. But let's just leave it at that. Now, again, I want to remind everybody, the president actually doesn't do his own taxes. Like a lot of us, right? I don't even try to do my own taxes. And mine's not that complicated, and it's still too complicated. One of the things that really angers me about the IRS in general, again, less government. I say we get rid of the IRS. I'm a huge supporter. Let's get rid of it. Get rid of income tax altogether. And let's just charge tax on consumption. That way it's fair. Hey, the billionaires, the more they buy, the more they pay. Right? For us, the less we buy, the less we pay. And we don't have to worry about all of these games. They've set this thing up. And this is this is part of the problem with the media doesn't know. They thought this was such a huge bombshell. Most people view it the way I view it. Oh, what, a billionaire got all these tax loopholes? Of course they do. That's why the tax code's so complicated. They got to make it so complicated so you don't realize all the incentives that they give. And a person like the president who builds buildings, oh my God, the tax write-offs that they get, they're enormous. But just so you know, the extensions were filed, and he actually prepaid, because I don't even know if he's paid the taxes yet. But he has made, in 2016, he made $1 million payment. Well, the extension is going on, which he was required to do. They had to make a good faith estimate. 2017, it was something like $4 million, just for the record. But again, that's not the sexy headline, is it? So neither here nor there. That's where it's at. Nobody's shocked. I'm not shocked. Would I like the president to release his taxes? Yes. Am I going to be shocked that he had years where he paid no tax on? Nope. Matter of fact, I'll guarantee it. Because that's how it's set up. Should we all be upset about it? Yes. I will say this, though. I did like the president's response. Hey, Joe Biden, you've had 47 years. You're the one that created the tax code, not me. I thought that was kind of funny because it's true. Right? The president has nothing to do with the tax code. And all he did was, hey, I hired a tax guy. And like all of us, listen, I do the same thing. All my customers do the same thing. We want to pay as little as possible. Legally. Don't get me wrong, I don't want it to be illegal. Legally, I want to pay as little as possible. The fact that I got to hire somebody, that actually really makes me mad. I shouldn't have to do that. I am a reasonably intelligent human being. I'm 50 years old, for the love of God. I should be able to figure out my own taxes. I can't do it. Can't. It's too hard. Too complicated. And I'm not a millionaire. I'm not, dang sure not a billionaire. And I can't do it. Right? I know friends, they drive a truck. Nothing wrong with that. They can't do their own taxes. It's ridiculous. Also, we can hide tax breaks and all this other nonsense. We need less government. Oh, look at the mess that we're in. And it's ridiculous. They talk about the Dow's up today because they're hopeful. Steve Mnuchin is hopeful that him and Crazy Nancy could reach some kind of arrangement. Right? And then you talk about all the layoffs today. There was a big article. Who was NPR put it out of all places? I know, right? I'm really scratching the bottom of the barrel here. But they're talking about the hotel industry. And it's just devastated. They're like the best hotels, which I don't know where they're at. Okay, I don't know. Maybe Phoenix has some. I don't know. The best occupancy rates they can find is at 50%. That's the best. Right? And maybe that's like hotels like here in Phoenix, you know, we try to get out of town and we go to like Prescott or we go to Sedona or maybe up in Flagstaff. Maybe those places. I don't know. Maybe they got to 50. That's the best. Most are somewhere around 20%. 20, maybe to 40. 20 to 40%. None of the hotels, not a single hotel can stay in business with that occupancy rate. Can't. Not one. Because they're all bought with debt. And then they refinance the debt and this and that and it never gets paid. They can't be in. No, just drive down the 101 freeway here in Phoenix, Arizona. There's hotels everywhere. None of them could make it at that level. Now they're calling on Congress to bail them out. Right? So let's see. The airline industry wants a bailout. The hotel industry, hey, we need a bailout. All the restaurants, we need them. Everybody needs a bailout. I got an idea. How about we just all go back to work? I don't know. Call me crazy. They're talking about virtually all business travel has been halted. My brother is a great example. Works for a huge media company out there, one of the largest in the country. He is a high level guy, right? And he travels to different markets and talks to the general managers of the stations and all this other stuff. Dude, he hasn't left his house since March. And essentially already, the company's already said, listen, and you're not leaving, we'll let you know sometime next year. Patriot Radio News Hour. Oh, what are we going to do? We'll be back. 800-951-0592. Here it comes. And I told you, we're now in a world where the amount of debt is just going to go parabolic. It just is what it is. We were already there, right? We were already on the wave, that debt super cycle. Remember, I was talking all about it for the last 3 years, that debt super cycle. And I told you, it just started. And we knew along the way, listen, there's going to be recessions. We knew they were coming. We didn't know how. And obviously COVID, well, no one saw that coming, which makes it even worse, which just speeds up the process. These jobs are gone for a long time. Right? A long time. Even when, they come up with it, I'll give you a few things. And again, this is just what I know. The vaccines, whether people are going to take them or not, let's leave that aside. The two that are the furthest along, Moderna and Pfizer, both of those vaccines have to be stored at like sub-zero temperatures. So your standard, your standard doctor's office doesn't have that, type of equipment. So it's going to be a little harder to get. The only one that is the next closest, Johnson & Johnson, theirs is able to be refrigerated, which is, more practical. I only bring that up because I don't know how it's going to work. I want the president to be right that we're going to get it and it's going to go out quickly. I'm not signing up for it. I'll tell you that right now. The only way I'm taking that vaccine is if the only way I could earn a living is by getting it. That's just where I stand on it. And I know everybody else has their opinion. I'm not telling you one way or the other. I'm not telling you to take it. I'm not telling you to don't take it. I'm just saying the two that are going to come out first, whatever they're using in there has to be, it's got to be frozen because it's so unstable, which, again, kind of worries me to begin with. But it's going to be a while. And that's what I'm getting at. A lot more money needs to be spent. Like these hotels, they want another $150 billion. The problem is that only gets them to the end of the year. Then they're running another $150 billion, another $150 billion. Universal basic income is here now. For those of you that don't know what that is, that's just cities and states and government just sending you money just because. Right? We remember the $1,200? That's kind of a universal basic. You get it every month. Cities all over the country now are starting universal basic incomes. Little cities, big cities, cities like Hudson, New York, who just started theirs. These basic income programs just give people cash, just because. Hey, you're here. Some places they target. Hey, you're low income. Here's a check. Right, on top of all the other programs that we've already provided for you. Now, let me ask you this. If these programs actually worked, right, this is my public school education coming back to haunt me, okay? If these programs actually worked, would the number of people enrolled in the programs, would they go up or would they go down? Right, if they actually worked, the number of people enrolled in the program would go down. Because, you'd be lifting them up. But really what we found out, I know there's going to be a shock to people. Giving people something for nothing usually means not only do more and more people get on the program, nobody ever leaves it. That's what it means. When they created, Lyndon Johnson created food stamps. Yeah, he did. You know how many people were on it when they first started it? 2 million. Now, granted, there's less people in the country then. There's probably 100 million less people than today. Now, we don't have the most current number, and I know COVID came. But even before COVID, we were at 40 million. Now I'm telling you the number's probably going to be somewhere around the 60 million mark. So let's just call it 62 million so we can do simple math. So we got 100 million more people in the country since food stamps started. In that increase of the 100 million, 60 million of them are on food stamps. Right? So we had the first 200 million people, 2 million were on it. The next 100 million people we add in, all of a sudden, it's 60 million of those. This is the numbers. This is what's going to happen. And now these geniuses have decided, you know what, it's so bad, let's just send people money. What do you think's going to happen? I'll tell you what's going to happen. People learn to live off the money you give them. And then all of a sudden, they never leave. They never get off of it. This is the problem, and this is what we're facing in this country. We've got a debt problem. We've got a criminal organization that is the central bank protecting these bankers. They're not looking out for our best interest. Are you kidding me? Every bailout they've given has been to big companies. Everyone. You know what they said about the small business? Oh, well, that's too hard for us. Yeah, we can't do that. No, but we can create a digital dollar so we can put money in everybody's account, but we can't help the small business guy. And it makes no sense. Now they just want to hand people money. That's the beginning of the end. We're probably already past the beginning of the end. It doesn't work. It's never worked. And it's just going to lead to further destruction of the productive citizenry of the United States. The question is, are you going to be prepared, right? I mean, in 3 days, we've had no 911. We lost Microsoft. We lost Apple. I mean, yeah, pretty much going to be fed for yourself, right? 800-951-0592. Remember, those that got the gold when it all hits the fan are the ones that get to make the rules. Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Metals plans are going to start going out. We're trying to get them done by the following Friday. If not, it'll be Monday or Tuesday. But we're making a big effort here. We've got a plan in place. We'll see. but I'm only laughing because, me and God got this deal. I mean, we really do. I make plans, and then He laughs. And of course, I'm learning. I'm getting better. I'm just letting go. Whatever happens, I'm just going to roll with the punches. But they're on their way. We're going to start shipping today, and they'll be out again by before the 10th of October. I think we'll have them all out. And again, it may be one or two. I mean, 98% of them will all be out by next Friday. How's that? Today's special. I got a call from the largest wholesaler that I do business with, who usually they're so big, I'm like, I don't know, a fly on their backside. Because they're mad. They got offices in Hong Kong and Switzerland and blah blah. Every London. All the right places when it comes to gold. But I've got 100 $20 gold pieces. And gold right now, gold just went back to positive again. So gold's 1903 right now, 1903 on gold today. $20 gold pieces, $2,100. And I've got a big quantity. So by the pullback, I mean, let's face it, you're still a good $60, $70, $80 below where the pullback happened. It looks like the correction, it looks like it's over. We'll see, but it kind of looks that way, doesn't it? Right back above 1900, kind of looks like it may be over now. Everybody's, over all the Federal Reserve, blah 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 stuff, and getting back to focused on the economy, and of course, really the big word. More stimulus. More stimulus means new record high gold prices. 800-951-0592. U.S. $20 Liberties at $2,100. There may be a chance. I'm just going to say this ahead of time, and I can't guarantee it, but there may be a chance for some silver eagles next week. For those of you looking for silver, but. The Bullion Bank and I are talking about it. He doesn't know yet. He's expecting a shipment of silver from somebody on Monday. So you silver guys, if you're looking for silver eagles, there may be an opportunity for that on Monday. It's so weird to make an announcement like that. It's been so long now. Again, these will be well below what our competitors are selling them for if it happens. So keep your eyes peeled for that. 800-951-0592. Listen, I promise you're going to buy. Just buy it down here. You're going to be, it's just better. Don't wait for gold to be back at $2,100 because you're not going to be able to get it, right? You're not going to be able to buy it for that. You're going to be paying $2,400, $2,500, $2,600. Take advantage. We had a nice little correction. Gold's coming right back. Everybody's focused back in now again on more bailouts and more dollar weakness. Universal basic income. Yeah, that's going to be good for gold. I mean, it just is. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Everybody find their safe space.